Sevhead Creative at sevhead.com presents the audio web series Epyphany, Born from the Sea, written and produced by Don Severance and narrated by Professor Proteus. Episode 2, Chapter 3, The Chancel. Epyphany swam up beside Thoreau and Dali as they glided through the cove into the lagoon. She turned to Thoreau and asked, "How are you feeling?" "Physically never better. Mentally a little overwhelmed, if I haven't already. Thank you for saving my life." "You're welcome. Are you up for a short swim?" "Sure," Thoreau replied, offering his thanks to Dali before letting go. Dali reluctantly swam away, curiosity gnawing at him. He wasn't concerned for her safety. He had seen Epyphany handle herself in dangerous situations before. But something about this felt different, stirring an uncomfortable suspicion within him. Epyphany led Thoreau to a small natural jetty on the shore, near the cove's entrance. She motioned towards a cluster of unique rock formations at the end of the breakwater. "That is where I often sleep. It's the first image I remember of Oojai. I love falling asleep here, gazing at the sky reflected in the lagoon, and waking up to the brilliant sunrise. The tribe knows not to disturb me unless it's urgent. I call it the chancel, a word Bliss taught me when I was very young. Oojai feels like a religion to me, a pure one, without rules or demanding gods. If you open yourself to this place, you'll see it's more than just beautiful landscapes and sunsets. There's a calming, nourishing spirit here. If you quiet your mind, Oojai will share her secrets and guide your better nature. Even when I travel far, I still feel connected to her." Thoreau was mesmerized. He had forgotten where he was, the impossibility of this creature, and all apprehension. It wasn't just her alien beauty or the way her voice resonated through his bones. It was her words and passion. She was so unaffected, so disconnected from the follies of humankind. "Have I put you to sleep?" Her voice brought him back. "No, quite the opposite. You've awakened something in me that I can hardly recognize, let alone explain. I could listen to you all night." After a moment of silence, Thoreau asked, "Do you still want to exchange oxygen?" Epyphany laughed. "I know your word. I don't know why I couldn't say it. I have no experience with human intimacy. When you were struggling in the ocean, I felt an incomprehensible attraction that clouded my reason. I feel it now. Bliss says I'm unique to this world, and I sense that in you too. I've never simultaneously feared and desired something more. But yes, please, kiss me." Epyphany gracefully moved into the shallow water, spinning around before gently propelling herself onto a smooth, low stone shelf. It was less of a shelf and more like an alabaster couch, perfectly sculpted to cradle her form. Thoreau hadn't truly considered her long, slender tail until now. Most of the time she had been submerged up to her neck, and he had only thought of her as a whole, not as a sum of parts. Now he saw her completely for the first time. Semi-reclined, her hands behind her, supporting her weight, she gazed up at the stars. She was muscular like a dancer, with full, firm breasts, a long, narrow waist, and hips that tapered into her powerful tail. The fin of her tail undulated slowly, partially submerged and glistening in the moonlight. Framed by the glowing alabaster, she was a vision, a living sculpture suspended in time. Though she fit the mythological description of a mermaid, she was so much more. Not just a woman with a dolphin's tail, she was an extraordinary being, an evolutionary link between what the world has been and what it could be. Epyphany motioned with her tail. "Have you slipped into another trance? You have that effect on me. Good. Come sit next to me. I think I may have dreamed you here. I need to touch you." "I was thinking the same." Thoreau waded closer and slid up next to her. This time, when she offered her hand, he took it without hesitation. He gently turned her head towards his. Her skin was incredibly smooth, similar to human skin, but almost translucent, like carved marble, polished to perfection. Epyphany leaned in close, her gaze penetrating. It was as if she could see everything he had ever thought or felt. Until this moment he had believed Saja had the most beautiful eyes in the world. But with Epyphany, it wasn't just beauty. It was a soulfulness beyond life experience, an empathy so pure and a love so raw that he felt his heart stop. He couldn't breathe. He pulled her close, and they clung to each other under the Oojai moon. They couldn't stop kissing, matched in strength and desire, lost in time. They didn't notice the largest whale on the planet swimming into the cove under the full moon, with Bliss sitting on his head ridge. Storm stopped about 50 feet from the chancel, where Epyphany and Thoreau were enraptured. Bliss gave the signal, and the whale unleashed a spectacular spout of water, dousing the lovers in hundreds of gallons. Unharmed, they were washed into the sea. When they surfaced and regained their equilibrium, they saw Bliss and Storm heading out to the lagoon. Thoreau and Epyphany looked at each other and laughed, both secretly thankful for the interruption. Still chuckling, they decided to take a short swim in the moonlight. When they returned, they slipped back up to Epiphany's stone bed, curled up in each other's arms, and fell into a deep sleep. Episode 2, Chapter 4. Exploration. That morning marked the beginning of a month filled with joy and discovery beyond anything Thoreau and Epyphany had ever known. Thoreau, a powerful swimmer, often found it challenging to keep up with Epyphany even with his water sled. Her abilities far surpassed any technology he had invented or even imagined. So he would often slide up beside her, holding onto her dorsal fin as they glided smoothly through the bay. Touring the island with Thoreau's voice in her ear and his body close to hers, Epyphany saw Oojai with fresh eyes. The wonder and beauty of her home were magnified by his childlike awe, and she was delighted by his unrestrained outbursts of joy. Though Epyphany had shared incredible adventures, boisterous celebrations, and years of enriching friendships with Bliss and the tribe, with Thoreau, her joy seemed amplified tenfold. He made her laugh, showed her a different view of the world she thought she knew, and noticed details she had overlooked. The artist in him saw shapes where she saw things, colors in shadows where she had seen only darkness. His scientific curiosity and thirst for knowledge led them into places on Oojai she had never noticed before. While exploring some random inlet, he would point out vegetation or rock formations and regale her with fresh insights. Some days Thoreau ventured alone into the jungle, hiking the green tropical slopes and mountain valleys, returning with samples of exotic fruits even Bliss had overlooked. Thoreau was especially intrigued by Tigris Baku, an extinct volcano rising half a mile into the sky near the island's center. He would show Epyphany specimens and theorize about their origins. She was smitten. It was no accident that most days they ended up swimming with one or more members of the tribe. After their passions had been doused that first night at the chancel, they accepted that Bliss wasn't about to give them much privacy anytime soon. As a result, Thoreau got to know these wonderful creatures on a first-name basis. He felt deeply privileged to discover the means by which such diverse species communicated. Each tribe member was a highly evolved version of their species, with unique talents or abilities that set them apart. They were mutants and misfits, shunned, ignored, often exiled or, by choice, distanced from the societies of their natural habitats. The second connection was Oojai, or more specifically, the Gold Tower. Among its many mysterious powers, it acted as a beacon. These mutants were drawn to Oojai by a vibration only they could sense. This shared language of subtle tones connected them all. Living near the tower, they quickly developed the ability to interpret and emit variations of these tones. When they spoke, it wasn't in words as humans understand them. It was a combination of vibrational deciphering, tonal interpretation, and telepathy. The tones were received along with a mental image, which was instinctively decoded and translated into something like a thought bundle that communicated the idea or phrase. Within days, Thoreau began to pick up some transmissions, and with concentration, he managed limited conversation. Though he had never considered himself a mutant or misfit, he realized he felt more alive in their company and completely at home among the tribe. Epyphany shared childhood memories with Thoreau, and he told stories of life in the modern world. They were both captivated. Bliss had never given Epyphany a clear picture of her birth, which puzzled Thoreau. He didn't understand why Epyphany hadn't pressed Bliss for more information. There were references to a goddess named Chrysalis, implying that this mysterious and revered figure was Epiphany's mother. Thoreau had seen her image depicted in several places around Oojai, including an enchanting, larger-than-life silver statue set into a niche in the cavern temple. The first time Thoreau encountered it, he felt compelled to kneel at her feet. Though he wasn't religious in the traditional sense and certainly not given to iconic worship, this statue seemed more than a symbol. It spoke to a secret place in his heart and mind, a room of forbidden knowledge locked away from rational thought. Kneeling before Chrysalis, he felt he had found the key to that room. We thank you for listening to another installment of this series, Epiphany, Born from the Sea. There are many more chapters to come, so we hope you subscribe and hit the bell so you can continue to join Epyphany and her tribe as they navigate the stormy seas into the transition